And we are here to talk specifically about activities for people that are living in the, I didn't change this up, for the middle stages of dementia. That is a huge typo. It is the middle stages of dementia. Here we are. And really focusing on being supportive and stimulating. We want to be able to match the remaining abilities in our loved ones and their skills. What activities can we do that meet their abilities and their skills? And being able to accept and adapt to the changes that are happening to them, because we will have to change along with their changes. A few things to start off with, just some common changes that happen in the middle stages of the disease that are going to influence how we do activities with our loved ones. Both their speaking and understanding of words are going to become more difficult. So their ability to use their words to communicate is changing, and their ability to understand the words that we're using is changing. And it's changing into they're losing more words and losing the comprehension of words. So they're going to start using more actions and more behaviors. It isn't the ability to, the need to communicate that changes, it's how they're communicating that changes. And we will have to, again, adapt to those changes in them. So we will see more challenging behaviors in the middle stages of the disease. They are less able to understand the world around them and process what's going on. They're still going to have reaction to the world that's going on around them. And so sometimes we do start to see more of those challenging behaviors because they're more confused. And they are using what they have left to be able to tell us, I'm confused, I'm scared, I don't know what you're wanting me to do, I don't understand, what they have left to be able to communicate that. And sometimes we see a lot of anxiety more in the middle stages. And this can be expressed through their difficult behaviors, because if I don't understand what's going on or what you're needing me to do, or I'm not able to communicate my needs and my wishes to you, oh yeah, I'm going to become more anxious, right? And my anxiety is also going to influence my ability to communicate. There's also can be a loss of impulse control, and this is just physical impulses, but also emotional control as well. It's not that they don't have their emotions, just their ability to control them. They're losing that a little bit. Task sequencing is going to be impaired, and this is important when we're talking about activities, because it's not that they can't do the activity. They can still do a lot of things. It's just that, are they able to start the activity? Do they kind of get lost in the middle of it? Are they able to finish the activity? It's that organization of the task that they're having more difficulty with. So they're just going to need more guidance and supportive help, right? They're going to have greater lapses in their memory, whereas in the earlier stages, it was more of that short-term memory that they were having difficulties with, but now it's more short-term memory, but getting more into that longer-term memory. They still have those long-term memories that we're going to want to be able to get to and use those memories and those abilities that they've retained for longer or they've always had to be able to do these activities. They can be disoriented more with time, and it can look like they're regressing in time. So they're not with us today as, the 75-year-old father and grandfather, that they've regressed in time, and what they're remembering is maybe they're a 60-year-old father who's still working, right? So they've regressed in their own timeline, and that can influence what their abilities are, what their wants are, and what activities they would want to do or can do. Changes in their 5 senses are going to be way more evident in the middle stages too, and an increased difficulty managing the environment or managing stimulation. It's not that they can't do it, they're just having a harder time with the background noise. They're having a harder time with maybe how lighting can sometimes play tricks on their eyes, how their external feelings are, like temperature control, what they're tasting, but also internal stimulation as well is changing for them, and their ability to recognize those internal cues of maybe hunger or I need to go to the restroom. And that can certainly influence their activities. What stays with people in the middle stages of dementia is a lot, and this is not an exhaustive list, But when we're talking about activities specifically, they can still use their hands. They can still manipulate familiar objects and tools. They can follow a one-step instruction. They can really follow visual cues. So we still want to use our words, but we're going to have to start using more visual cues or doing with them, showing them how to do it. And we want to make sure within their field of vision where they're actually looking. They'll always be able to maintain attention to a task for a limited period of time. So we might notice in the earlier stages, they can do an activity for a longer period of time and maybe more people can be involved. And now they can still do an activity, it's for a shorter period of time. Their attention span is going to be shorter. Their energy, they're going to have less energy to do something. They can sit, they can stand, they can walk. Caveat, this is unless they have another comorbidity that is influencing or limiting those abilities, right? Their long-term memory can still be accessed, and they'll always be able to use that social chit chat and conversational tone. So social chit chat, we all have that. Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you. The weather looks cold outside, and they can respond pretty quickly and easily to that. The conversational tone means more of it might sound like they're having a conversation, but the words aren't making any sense. But the rhythm of that speech is there. And they can work very well within a daily routine. And Holly talked last week about the importance of maintaining a routine or establishing a routine. And that's extremely important for the middle stages, that we keep that routine because it's more familiar for them. And it's not so much that they remember what's going to happen next in the day, but they're not caught off guard and there's a comfort in that routine. Some quick communication tips for in the middle stages that we just want to keep in mind as we're working with our loved ones, and particularly as we start to involve more activities with them. But at this point, we need to have more hands-on care. And they're going to require more direct care. You absolutely going to need to reduce distractions. This is noise level, lighting. We might need more lighting for them to see a little bit better. Who's in the room? What can potentially be distracting? Are they hungry? Are they cold? Reduce those distractions so their brain is not being thrown in many different places, and they can focus on what they need to focus on. We want to slow down, and this is slowing down physically. Maybe sometimes we need to take a few deep breaths, but also slowing down on how fast we talk or how fast we're doing our visual movements and prompts that we're going to start to incorporate. I teach our students here and say, we're going to have to go at their pace. And this is their pace physically, but also how fast they speak, because that's the only pace they can go and understand. And you can easily use their name over and over again, their preferred name. And it might be what your relationship is to them, or it might be their first name, to help gain their attention back to the activity. We want to make sure we are in their field of vision. This is when we are talking to them, we're giving them visual cues, but also is if there's an object or a tool that we're going to use for an activity, we want to make sure that's within their field of vision. And I have here what a visual field means is the area where somebody's purposely looking when they seek something out. So it really is where are they actually looking is what they can see. Their visual field changes quite a bit. So they're not really seeing the world around them so much. It really is very much where they're looking is what they can see. And start using more visual gestures. The language, again, the words, they're losing their ability to comprehend it. They're losing that. We still want to use words, and our words will matter because we want to use more supportive words. But it does come down to, can we show them? Can we demonstrate what we're saying? Can we act it out for them? Because they'll always be able to pick up on that and be able to mimic it or respond in kind. And it's one thought at a time, one instruction. They can do one step direction. So we want to give them that one direction, that one thought, allow them to process it, be able to complete it successfully, and then we move on to the next direction or the next instruction. Giving them 2 or 3 at a time can be overwhelming. If they're having a hard time, we want to think, what are the feelings or emotions being expressed? If they're showing more anxiety, for instance, And so they're showing anxiety, or maybe they get up and walk away. It's not that they are mad at you or they don't want to do the activity. It could be that, but is there anxiety we're showing? Are we expecting too much of them? Are we moving too fast? And that's just increased their anxiety. We can repeat what we've said for clarification and validation. We don't want to keep changing up the words that we use, but we can repeat an instruction to help, just to help them be successful. And not pulling away from them. We want to nurture their relationship and provide these activities for them. And when we talk about activities in the middle stages, we really want to talk about meaningful activities for whole person wellness. In thinking about those domains of wellness, we've got our mental or our cognitive domain, we've got physical wellness, we need that social wellness, emotional, spiritual, and occupational wellness. All of these areas make up what we do and who we are, right? We all kind of have different roles or in each one of these domains, right? And are we fulfilling those needs? And we want to break up activities into 4 different areas. So there's our purposeful, productive activities. This is, I have a sense of value, I have a purpose, I'm needed, I need to be needed, right? There's those fun leisure activities. I'm having fun, I'm interacting with everybody, I'm being silly, I'm relaxing, right? There's a self-care and wellness activities, and this is personal, personal self-care of a body and of our brain. And then there's restorative or restful activities, and this just helps us re-energize and restore our spirit. And if we think about it, all of us do activities in these 4 categories or areas of our lives. And all human beings really need a healthy balance of activities in each of these categories. We all need some restorative, restful activities just to kind of gather ourselves and take a break and be able to come back. We all need purposeful activities. We all need that sense of purpose. We all need to have fun, though, too, and do something leisurely. And we all need that self-care awareness, that personal care, whether it's I'm caring for my brain or I'm caring for my body. We all need these activities and we all do them. We all fulfill those on our own, right? Our loved ones are going to need more help maintaining this balance and meeting these domains of wellness. So a couple of just quick examples of what activities are, and we'll get into some more of these. A few of these I wanted to point out. In the middle stages, it's breaking down these activities like in organizing stuff, because we can organize drawers. We all kind of do that, organize files. We're organizing stuff because we need some order in our lives. But it might be that I'm organizing colors and I'm meeting that need to organize and feel in control. But now I can organize colors, or I can organize shapes and sizes, as maybe opposed to organizing a file or alphabetically organizing the books or something like that. I can do it in a different way. I'm adapting the activity to meet what their skills and abilities are. Themed boxes also are great in the middle stages. They're great throughout any stage, but especially in the middle stages, because it also helps with reminiscing. The 2 gray boxes here. And you can do jewelry boxes, if that's something they're interested in, a sports box, and it's just a box of sports stuff in it. And it helps with that sensory stuff too. So we want to make sure the boxes are filled with different senses. So it's something you can feel like a baseball. I can pick up that baseball. There's a leather glove, a baseball glove, and I can smell the leather that's in there. Or maybe there's a CD or a music of that song taking me out to the ball game. Maybe there's some peanuts I can eat along with that box, or incorporating all those 5 senses to stimulate them and get them involved and start talking to them about your favorite sport. Who is your best player? Did you ever go watch a game in person? Did you ever play? Being able to talk about it and get all those senses involved in this activity. Of course, like using the newspaper, using what you have in your house already. Flip coupons, especially if they used to do that. It's a familiar activity to them. Maybe you're cutting up magazines and you're just cutting up things that are red, or you're cutting up certain shapes. What are their abilities, right? And you can even take those and say, we're going to use these shapes and we're going to create a piece of art and give it to a kid. So we're meeting those domains of wellness. We're kind of that sense of purpose. We're giving something away to somebody else, we're helping somebody. This is purposeful, but I'm also stimulating you mentally as well. Physically, we're kind of moving. We're meeting those emotional needs to help. We can incorporate all of these needs into one activity. Music, of course, appreciation is huge. I know Holly talked about that last week, but how great it is to use their music for therapy, but for reminiscing, but for wellness also. I think we all use music, as wellness throughout our lives and throughout our day. Spiritual discussions, and this can be you're reading something, we're praying, we're singing songs. And then hand massages, and this really comes down to touch. Touch for well-being, touch for stimulation, and that tactile stimulation. We'll talk more about this when we talk about activities for later stages. But the hand massage incorporates so many things because we're meeting a emotional need, a mental need, and a kind of a human being need of touch that is purposeful, that is spontaneous, and it really communicates that I care about you. I care for you, but I care about you, and that intimate need that human beings kind of lack as we get older. But you can also do some ADL care while you're doing a hand massage, and maybe clip some nails, maybe do the nails, or maybe you're doing a foot massage, right? And you're doing some foot care as well. So we're incorporating all of these into one activity. Oh, and the reminiscing, reminiscing, you can do anything with reminiscing. Again, we're going to talk about this more in depth on Monday in our Stress Less program, but using photos, just talking about the holidays because they're here, right? Drive through the neighborhood and look at the Christmas lights. Talk about the food at Thanksgiving dinner. Questions like this. Did you put cookies out for Santa when you were a child? What did y'all do when you were younger? Did your mom decorate the house? What were your childhood traditions? Do you dunk your donut in coffee? Do you like hot chocolate? What do you put in your hot chocolate? Is it marshmallows? You put a peppermint in your hot chocolate? All of these things. Have you ever made homemade bread before? And while you're asking these questions, maybe you're making homemade bread and you can smell the bread being made, and then you can eat it. So we're incorporating those 5 senses. So getting down to those 4 areas that I talked about, we all need to have a healthy balance in these 4 areas. And I've gotten a lot of this from Tifa Snow. And these are just examples of activities you can use that are purposeful and productive. And they're not hard to do, but they're stimulating as well. So this is counting things, we're folding things, we're making things. This can be making cookies to, like I said, cutting out shapes in a magazine, putting it on a piece of paper, and now we've made this card for these kids. Cleaning stuff, we're taking things apart, we got to move stuff. We're setting things up, we're breaking things down. A lot of it comes down to, I need your help. Can you help me with folding these clothes? Or can you help me with putting these spoons on the table? I might not be able to tell, my mom, hey, go set the table for 5 people, but I can ask her, can you put these spoons out at each plate? I've got to adapt it to what her abilities are. Completing a community task. We're donating stuff, we're volunteering, we're sorting things, you name it. For fun leisure activities, there is active fun leisure and there's passive fun leisure, and this can change through the course of the disease, but also just change what our mood is, or we're having a good day or a bad day. Actively, we can be involved in socials or teas. Right now we're doing a lot of stuff online, but we can still do social gatherings online. It might not be we have 20 people on the screen, but we might have 3 people on the screen and we can talk back and forth. Or we're showing video clips of our loved ones, of family members to our loved one. There's sports they can do, and this is, you might not be going out to the baseball diamond throwing, playing catch, but we can do balloons and hit balloons with pool noodles. Not only is that getting this fun leisure activity, but you're being physically active. You're also having to do hand-eye coordination. You're having to be mentally active. there's a social component to it as well. Dancing, singing, involving that music. We got that music in there. Now let's get up and dance and move some. Any hobbies that they've done in the past, how can we incorporate those hobbies into matching their abilities where they're at now? And then there are more passive activities, and this is more of watching. I'm watching entertainers. I'm listening to the sports program. And this can be, I'm sitting on the couch watching the game, the football game, or it could be that entertainers have come in somewhere. We go watch an entertainer, maybe at the library or something. TV programs, I should add it on here, but nature stuff is very important. Nature is restorative, and there's a therapeutic component to nature. So this can be, I'm sitting outside just watching the nature, watching the weather change, feeling the wind, or I'm watching a program about nature, and seeing the snow-capped mountains and things, and talking about it and pointing out to them. So our self-care wellness activities. This is cognitively and physically self-care wellness. Physically, we want to make sure we are, just kind of an exercise thing. Are we doing exercise? In the middle stages, most of them can still sit, walk, stand up and talk, right? So are we getting them up and having them walk? It might not be they're walking a mile around the block, but can we walk them to the mailbox and back? How is that changing? Stretching, it might be chair exercises, and are we involving the full range of motion that they have? So it might be that if it's a chair exercise, we want to make sure and get those legs stretched out, they get our arms above our hand. It could even be a little thing, we're in the kitchen, hey, can you reach for that cup well up there on that top shelf? Using it throughout the day like that. And then in the personal care tasks, and these are their self-care activities. This is feeding themselves, getting dressed, bathing, toileting, those things. They need to still be involved in those activities, with physical, mental component, emotional component to all this, keeping them involved in those activities to their abilities. Cognitively, there's tabletop tasks, right? This is organizing stuff. Am I organizing drawers? Am I organizing nuts and bolts? Or I'm organizing shapes? Or I'm organizing two colors? We're going to put green here and we're going to put red here. What are their abilities? There's games. What are those card games that we can play? What are those puzzles? It might be that they can do a 15-piece puzzle, or it might be that we had to create a 5-piece puzzle with bigger pieces, and we're just putting the colors together. And then there are group games. This is getting that social component in there. Maybe you have some intergenerational advantages. So you got a grandkid in there that can come in and do some crossword stuff or trivia games that are adapted to meet their abilities, where they're at in the disease. And then we have our restful restorative activities. Listening or attending a worship service. That's something I've always done. Listening to old gospel music, listening to their music from when they were a child. Getting some pets in there. This can be real pets, or it can be those robotic pets. That can be very therapeutic. Feeling fabrics, different types of fabrics. This is smelling different types of smells. Getting that foot rub or a hand massage. Taking short naps can be restful and restorative as well. We don't sleeping all day long, but a short nap can be helpful. Listening to quiet music, sitting outside, like I said, watching the sun go down or watching the sun rise, watching something calm on TV. All of these, there's a restorative component to these categories of activities. And then just in summary here, we want to be very aware and make sure the environment is supportive. So it's reducing those distractions, using those visual cues. Is it a safe? We want to make sure in a safe environment. But do we need to have partnered activities with them? So there's visual cues, but do I need to do activity alongside them and hold their attention throughout the activity? Or do I just need to help them get started? They can do the activity really on their own, and then I come back and help them finish it and move on to something else. It's what their abilities are. And then having those successful or supportive activities with successful helping. So we talked about a lot of activities here. Where do we come in and successfully help them and do with them instead of do to them or do for them? I don't want to do the activity for them. I want them to be involved in it. So how am I successfully helping them? And then this restorative care is the helping, the guiding, being flexible and being calm, being with them in the moment where they're at that time, being a helper. And sometimes it can look like we're taking on that mother role, but we're helping them. In restorative care, or we're talking about restorative activities, just care, it's really maximizing somebody's level of function and keeping them at what their level of function is to allow for minimal decline as much as we can. So they're able to maximize or to function at their best ability where they're at. And as long as we can help them do that, their decline, I don't want to say we can slow it down, but it can be more minimal if they're already operating, maintaining where they're at. Okay. And this is our information. So I'm going to stop sharing. Are there questions or comments or suggestions of activities from anybody in the group?
Okay, I have a question about retained abilities in the area of reading. I mean, obviously, I realize that visual acuity is the issue also, but assuming that they can see okay, do they retain the ability to read and understand what they're reading in this?
I think it's going to depend on the person, and more so in the earlier stages, because they can go through the motions of reading, especially if it's something they've always done. Like I pick up the newspaper every morning, and they can go through that motion. How much they're retaining, I don't know. It's more about the routine and the habit of it. I've also known people that can read for a longer period of time, or they can read labels, or they can read names or something that's short, but they might not be able to read a long paragraph. Holly, do you have anything else?
And Carolyn, the research has also shown that they will be able to actually read words long after they can no longer comprehend the words. So when we're doing assessments on somebody with dementia, part of those assessments that we do is we'll actually have them read something for us, and it will be a command. It will be like a short command, and then see if they'll do it. Because one of the shorter ones is they read, "Close your eyes," and then you ask them to do that. And many times they'll be able to read "close your eyes," but they don't understand "close your eyes." And I've had people tell me that they like had things labeled in their house so that they could put things like spoons, you know, towels, whatever. And that for the longest, they can read the words, but that there comes a time, but what is the spoon? But they can read the word spoon. So they actually are able to read longer than they can comprehend. It's interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, like Jamie was saying, you'll see people go through the motions of reading, especially if they were a reader. And if that brings them pleasure, absolutely, let them sit there and do it. Or they may be filling in the crossword, and then you go and look, and they're just putting letters in it, that type of thing. But they're going through the motions.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ricky put in the chat, I love this. Her mom loves socks. She has a large box of socks, all types and colors, that she has her matching the pair over and over again. Each time is a new time. It's a new activity for her, no matter how many times she's done it. And that's a great point. Thank you so much, Ricky. We don't have to come up with new activities, like 5 new activities every day. They're going to not remember they did that activity, especially if it's purposeful. We always got to fold socks, right? We always got to fold laundry. We always got to clean those dishes. And it's new to them. So thank you so much for sharing that.
And in the mid stages, also something Jamie had touched on is something that's repetitive, like Ricky's talking about with the socks, folding the clothes over and over and over again. I know we used to keep clothes in baskets in the day program, and they would fold them, and then we'd get them busy doing something else, and we'd go dump the same thing and mess them up, and they'd come back. Our laundry just never seemed to get finished over there. It was the same basket over and over, but then that also gave them a purpose. They were helping. Also in the middle stages is where I've seen people get to where they like to paper shred, either tearing paper shredding or putting paper through a shredder, because it's a rep, and that's where they can actually help you out. If you've got a lot of papers that need to go through the paper shredder, get them a paper shredder and let them sit there and put paper through the shredder. But it's a repetitive motion.
Well, I appreciate y'all being here. A couple of minutes after 11:30. Again, we will send you the slides, the upcoming programs and how to register for those, and the recording from today. And we wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
So much, Jamie and Holly. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
y'all
Enjoy
later.
your time off.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.